Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.
Fuck you, you creep. Please God.
Jesus wept.
Tell the sheriff I shot him.
I got plans for you. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
I don't know what death is.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Hey, this is your host, Trevor, with Blood, Guts, and B-Movie Trash Talk, and we watch and review movies that you do not have time for. And as always, I have a lovely co-host here, Steve, don't skimp on the sexy Norman. How you doing, Steve?
Sean shits in his pantyhoses.
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good. That it seems that Stephen Hawking voice is your go-to.
Oh, he's my main move.
Well, hopefully you had the opportunity to listen to our last podcast. What movie did we review, Steve?
We did a very late edition of Leprechaun.
Have you seen a crock of gold lying around?
Indeed.
Tell me.
Pretty good movie. I enjoyed the episode. We had Derek on the show. He was funny. Once again, had a very hard time determining whether or not he was too close to the mic.
Why don't you use the line that makes me laugh?
Oh, I've fallen and what was it? I can't remember.
Help! I've fallen and I can't talk into a microphone.
Yeah. It's very odd because once you put the headphones on, I feel like you can gauge exactly whether or not you are speaking too loud. Do you feel the same way?
Normally I would agree with you. Today I can't hear myself for some reason, but so I don't want to agree with you and then be super loud. But yeah,
sure. Well,
definitely.
You're kind of handicapped right now. You don't have the ability to hear yourself, but Derek had headphones as well.
That's true.
I don't think Mitch did, so I guess we can't.
It would
bang
be
on
a
him
goddamn shame to put headphones on that man.
No, that's true. His long, nice hair, and we definitely don't want to ruin or hide that bandana.
Physique.
Yes.
Or that bandana, that's true.
If we ever have him on the show again, we should just make him wear his sunglasses the whole time.
And a Speedo.
For all you people listening, Mitch has been on the show. He was on our Franken Hooker episode, and he definitely looks like a younger, less bulkier version of Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
But enough of that foolery.
We're not here to talk about that asshole today.
We're
here
here
to talk about dead fucking heat.
Dead Heat. Now, Steve, I love the intro song to this. I'm probably going to play it multiple times because I feel like people have to hear it.
I'd like that.
Dead Heat. All right, that's enough of that.
It just says you're in for a buddy cop.
Yes, and
that's what that theme says.
Exactly, and it's quite possibly the best buddy cop film ever made. I don't know. I guess people watching it could be the judges, and we'll definitely give our 2 cents on it. But it looks like this was filmed in 1988. Mark Goldblatt, right, Steve?
Uh-huh.
It kind of has like a zombie twist to it, but it's starring Treat Williams, Joe Piscopo, the unfunny comedian. Not sure if you had the opportunity to check out his stand-up.
I did look at a bunch of pictures of him, and he shows off his physique, but I didn't watch any of his other work.
Yes, I didn't even know he was a comedian until
Dude, he's a bodybuilder, apparently.
Yeah, he's huge as fuck, man. He's really big.
There's lots of pictures of him in a Speedo, greased up.
Oh, geez, no way.
That's a fun treat for everyone that's wants to look up Joe Piscopo.
Yeah, you should post some photos of him all lathered up in his Speedo.
I will.
And Photoshop Mitch's face on it.
On his Speedo or on his face?
You choose, sir. This also has good old Vincent Price.
A decrepit Vincent Price.
Yeah, this is. I think this was actually about 4 years before he kicked the can. But they got him right in time.
He looks like he's on his way out. But they also got the dad from The Christmas Story, which is a real treat.
Oh yeah, What the hell is that actor's name? I was gonna write it down and I decided not to.
I don't know. He's the guy that loves that lamp, though, the leg lamp.
Yeah, he's a well-off actor. He's had some great work, so it's nice to see, aside from Piscopo, a nice actor there. My dogs are going crazy if you can hear them jingling around. But this was probably one of the higher budgeted films we've reviewed so far at $5 million.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, I believe.
Close to, if it wasn't so shitty, it would, may not even be a B movie.
Wow! That's a low price!
Yeah, nah, compared to movies now, I definitely agree. But $5 million,
Back
not
in
the
88.
yeah, not the most. So it looks like this film, despite its budget, it only grossed about $3,600,000. And if you take a look at some of the reviews online, you'll notice it didn't get the best reviews, but IMDb gives it a pretty high rating at 6 out of 10. So I was quite impressed with that.
This to me is one of those movies that it's pretty amusing,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like the real value is this is one of those movies you want your roommate to come in and see you watching. You want them to catch you watching. Like, what the fuck is this? That's where this movie's beauty is.
Yeah, definitely. Now, looking at Goldblatt himself as a director, his career in that area is pretty short-lived. He directed Dead Heat, and then he directed The Punisher. The Punisher, not the one from a few years ago, but the one back in the 80s with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, the gay porn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Punisher.
But he directed that. Then he moved on to actually just becoming a successful editor. He edited classics like Howling. He edited Halloween 2.
Yeah.
He edited The Terminator, Nightbreed, True Lies, and Detroit Rock City. Now, those are just a few, but the dude's had a pretty good career, yeah. That's enough about good old Goldblatt there. I feel like there's typically a question that you like to ask me, Steve.
If you could sum up this movie based on probably a paragraph that may or may not be printed on the back of a box, how would you do it?
Maverick LAPD officer Roger Mortis, not to be confused with Rigor Mortis.
Rigor mortis, that's what I thought the whole time.
Played by Treat Williams, is a good cop who will do anything to nail the bad guys, even if he's got to die for it in this offbeat comedy thriller. Now, investigating some frightening going-ons, Mortis and his partner, Doug Bigelow, Joe Piscopo, pay a visit to Dante Laboratories. It is here that they discover the high-tech resurrection room churning out a weird band of recycled and indestructible criminals. Now, it is here that Mortis meets his untimely death, but hey, if you can't beat him, join him. Police work is tough enough without having to tangle day after day with the same dead criminals. Two can play this zombie game.
Well said, back of the box.
Yes, well said. That's probably one of the better back-of-the-box roundups I've had the opportunity of reading as of late.
That's because they had a $5 million budget, so they could spend 100 of it or so getting somebody to sum up the movie.
On a literate fucking individual.
Somebody that's seen a paper and pencil before.
Yeah. The intro to the film is just those typical cliche helicopter shots of... I believe this is Los Angeles?
It's gotta be.
It's got that sweet evildoer music. Now, the theme to this as it comes in doesn't really fit the amazingness you're about to witness, but it is quite unique. Now, it starts with robbers hiding their faces with some S&M masks. Leather masks.
Escape from Judas Priest, I thought, these guys.
Yeah. And what they're doing is they're robbing a jewelry store. Now, these bad guys... And what I noticed, these bad guys were carrying Uzis, but all these movies in the 80s, like, every fucking bad guy in the 80s had an Uzi.
If you didn't have an Uzi, you weren't a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. And it had, like, one of those huge mag clips that carries, like, an infinite amount of bullets.
That's in case you plan on taking years to rob a jewelry store.
Yeah.
Just like they did.
Now, Doug and Roger respond to the dispatch that's reporting this robbery, and they decide they're going to go round themselves up a bunch of bad guys. So, Doug, what you get from the starting of this, and you see them in the car, is that he's Piscopo, Doug. He's that asshole one-liner cool guy.
He's a wild card.
Mm-hmm. And
God damn it, he gets results.
yeah, especially in the gym. But Roger is the serious cop. Now, in your opinion, Steve, who's the good cop? Who's the bad cop?
Oof, Piscopo's definitely the good cop.
Yeah.
He's always charming people. He's always doing stuff he's not supposed to. He's the Derek Johnson of cops.
And if you don't know who Derek Johnson is, he was on our last episode. Once again, can't speak into a mic. Sorry, Derek, if you're listening to this. Apologize bagging on you, but we just got to do it.
Took forever to edit that thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got Treat. Treat would go on to be of Everwood fame, that shitty dad family TV show that took place in good old Utah. Remember that?
Yeah, I was looking at that in IMDb. I noticed that, yeah. But I think he's probably, film-wise, besides the dude that plays Dr. McNabb, he's probably the second most successful actor in this. I don't think Pisco did much acting, really. I know he's in another movie with Michael Keaton, but other than that, he just does stand-up and pumps his biceps.
Flex those guns.
Mm-hmm. Now, we now jump into a gunfight, and this is in front of the jewelry store. Now, these leather mask-wearing, masochistic zombie men, they mean business. And now the gang of cops shoot the shit out of these guys with no luck. It seems that they continue to stand, and they're superhuman. And this is where you figure out that they're
they take no cover. It's like they want to be shot.
Oh, exactly. Now, okay, one of the dipshits actually pulls out a grenade and blows himself up with it. Which was
pulls it out, gets ready to throw it, gets shot, I think, in the hand, and then he drops it.
Yeah.
Blows him.
And the other, Roger, pulls this elaborate stunt and runs him over with the car. Now,
it's reckless endangerment. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny. Right after he rams into the car, I guess the lieutenant just like drops his head in his hands and shakes his head like, Jesus Christ, this is a disaster.
And you know he's going to get yelled at by the blackest like police chief there is in the next scene.
Yeah, the cliche chief. So
it's
Doug,
one of my favorite things. Buddy cop.
So far in this movie, just the beginning, you can already see that the special effects are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Those guys getting shot up and the cops getting shot up. One of the cops gets shot right in the face. And then when rigor mortis runs into one of the robbers, he just completely smashes him between another car, and it looks pretty real. Now, Doug and Roger go back to the police station after all is said and done, and they're screamed at by the police chief that Steve mentioned.
Can you do me an impression of their chief, just in case somebody's never watched somehow a stereotypical buddy cop movie?
See, I don't know if I'd be able to do it necessarily.
And some asshole wants me to buy him a new top for his caddy. Kind of like one of those guys.
I would say if you want to know and you can't get your hands on a copy of this movie, just watch Last Action Hero. And the black lieutenant in that is like, it's like a carbon copy. It's like uncanny. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same dude.
And it's also on like the Starsky and Hutch movie with Luke Wilson and not Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller. Mm-hmm. They got the same kind of police chief. I love that character.
Yeah. So they get screamed at, and Doug shrugs it off as they're walking out of the office, telling a nun at the police station to call him later. And this is where his one-liners start coming in pretty heavy. It's pretty funny. And
rapid fire. And
from what I understand, Doug loves to flex his muscles. He's just always like randomly flexing his biceps and stuff as he walks past people.
That's his rest mode. He's flexing.
So the duo, Doug and Mortis, head to the coroner's office to take a look at the stiffs they killed at the jewelry store. Doug can't help but set up the plot here. Now, you ever think about your death day? And he starts talking about Mortis about, if he ever thinks about the day he's going to die and blah, 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 blah. Now, they also find out that the men killed were reanimated from the coroner because I guess she says that they're are decomposing and that their body temperature is low and that it seems to have been...
She checked him in like last week.
Yeah, and she checked him in last week already, so they're on their second trip in. Dr. What's-His-Name, or Dr. McNabb, states that it must be a mistake, and things start seeming a bit strange here from what Doug says.
And the lady's handling these corpses, and then she's handling the pictures, hands it right to the guy who's not even washing her hands, and they grab it. Like, pretty gross. Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Now, Roger Mortis seems to have a fling or a crush with this autopsy bitch, the coroner. And I guess when she did the autopsies on these bodies, she found traces of some super drug in their system.
Semen.
Yeah. Just like unbelievable, like heinous amounts of semen in their belly. No,
like
but
Rod Stewart caliber.
yes, but they find this super drug, and I guess this is where the investigation starts. Now, Mortis and Bigelow head to the center of science where these drugs are found, and where I guess they've traced the drugs back to. Now, Bigelow wants to bang every lady in this film. You can already tell by this point. I'd say we're probably only about 5 minutes in, and he's thrown multiple references at women and like looked at them like they're pieces of meat.
It kind of it almost feels like a ruse. Like he's
like
acting
he's covering
so
up.
hard to be straight, like he's covering up being gay or something, because he's like non-stop.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like it's almost like either he's trying to completely portray like the stereotypical man, or he's just trying to cover up, like, or he's trying to cover up being gay, or this is possible. This movie was written by a 13-year-old boy that thought that this is how grown men acted.
Yeah, I have that in my notes too. You get the sense that he is trying way too hard, or you know, if you don't want to go as far as gay, it's like that kid in high school that was like, that had the same attitude, and the reason being is because he just like, he pretended like he had sex with every girl in high school, but you find out he just beats off and uses his tears as lubrication because no girl wants to hang out with him.
That's right.
Yeah, but they stop at this center of science, and Bigelow walks up to the dude at the desk to see if they can get guidance on where they need to go to get some more information. And the guy will not. The guy that's working the desk is reading a magazine. I think he's looking at like a Playboy or something.
It's like a Hustler Pass or something, and he's got it. I want to say he's got it like turned sideways, looking at the centerfold. Yeah,
but the dude's just completely ignoring Bigelow. So Bigelow has a funny little one-liner here, and he says, "Sorry to interrupt your erection, pal." He does a lot of that pal talk. And finally, the lady character, I believe her name is Randy, comes out and I believe walks them around. Is that right? Or do they sneak back into that secret?
Well, she briefly shows them around because it's the PR. I think she's like the public relations lady, and so she's like showing them around. They're the cops. This is them cooperating with any investigation, because obviously they think that since this is the only place that does science, that this has got to be the place. So she shows them around. They're like, "Oh, what's behind that restricted room?" And she's like, "There's no admittance there. It's just like biohazard chemicals." And at that point, after old Piscopo making a few more passes, he has to go to the little boy's room. I think he says is a direct quote.
Yeah.
And that's the point where Piscopo decides to jimmy open the locks while no one's looking and get in that room.
Exactly, yeah. That's what he does. He pulls the old bathroom trick, and he decides to go snooping around. He finds the facility where the reanimation machine is resting.
Yeah, how does he get in that room? Isn't he like, oh, the door's jammed, and then he does, I can't remember what he does, but I don't think he shoots it, but he does something really stupid, like, and the door just comes open.
Yeah, he just like walks right in. Like I don't even think they really lock it. I don't know. It was pretty funny. But Bigelow and his well-treated mullet run into some trouble when they go into this room. There's a reanimated long-haired Chris Farley. That comes running out, and he has like a deformed face, like a bunch of like faces tacked onto another face, and he's disgusting and decomposing.
And he looks like he'd yell, "And my axe!"
And he decides to give this creature a few elbows. I noticed like the good old wrestling elbow, and a few bullets as well, but it doesn't do the trick. So Mortis comes to save the day, but he gets his ass thrown into this decompression chamber. Now
That's trouble.
yeah,
They took all the time to explain to you what the chamber does, like 1 minute before this happens.
yeah, and instead of with dialogue, they actually just use a little red LED like light panel that's describing what's going on and what the machine does. I thought that was pretty funny.
I feel like it was probably the least cheesy way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous machine.
Yeah. Once Mortis is locked into this room, there's like it looks like an interrogation glass. Like if you're in an interrogation room, it's a mirror, but on the other end, there's somebody back there checking it out. Now behind that glass, there's a guy with black gloves, and he starts activating the chamber.
You don't see his face, mind you.
You do not, just the black gloves. And he activates that chamber, and it starts slowly killing Mortis. What it's doing is cutting off air. Now,
I don't get how he died. Like I assumed it was like sucking the air out of there, or maybe sucking the water out of his body or something. Like he just didn't die like a man that was suffocating. I didn't think.
Yeah. And I think if you were to completely cut the air, I felt like it was like extracting air. Like it would have been a lot.
Yeah, like
a lot
times 3 or something.
Yeah, like I feel like it would have been a lot more brutal as well. But I don't know what exactly it was doing, but it definitely kills him off. And he's killed off right before Bigelow can help him out. And he fights off.
Is he fighting this fucking dwarf that's 9 feet tall, but he looks like a dwarf?
Yeah, he's fighting off this like fat truck driver, like, and
Steve Austin's vest.
Yeah, after Bigelow gives that truck driver a stone cold stunner, he has to start fighting off the erection man. But he fights him off, but he fails to save his partner's life here.
Can I bring up something
Sure.
In lieu of Treat Williams dying?
Yes.
In this scene.
Sure.
Another thing, Treat Williams was in Hair. That was a classy musical.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you haven't lived. That is one.
That is
Anyhow.
That's a good one.
It's classy.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, this is where we see Bigelow dropping a few tears. Cuts to a scene where he's sitting in a chair and he's just bummed that his partner's dead. And the coroner bitch comes walking in, and she's asking Bigelow what was going on, or what's going on, because I guess there's a whole gang of police there and everything. Now Bigelow says he died the way dogs do. So this guy was like put to his. I assume when a dog goes to a pound, they put the dog down. I don't think they deprive the dogs of air.
Yeah, it seems elaborate. I always assume they just take a dog, and I like to imagine them just riding it out into the sunset, and then they pull over and just shoot the dog with a shotgun or something. That's what I think.
I don't know why they don't just like do something cool, like maybe get a huge, those 3-man water balloon launchers you can buy. Just make one of those times like 100 and just fucking shoot them up into space.
In oncoming traffic.
Oh man. But Bigelow has to explain to the coroner lady that Mortis is dead. Now Bigelow shows the coroner the secret room that he had found, and she hacks into the system, assimilating all of the secrets and figuring out everything, because she's this genius computer hacker. I mean, this room is definitely, if they're trying to keep it a secret, they're definitely doing a terrible job at that.
Yeah, it seems like almost the buttons tell you what they're going to do on them or something, because she just is like, what to do, no mistakes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Now, this is where good cop comes back to life. Or no, he's not the good cop, he's the bad cop, from what we've discussed. Mortis is put into this machine, and using Frankenstein-like methods, they shock him back to life. Mortis explains his last experience. He wakes up, and all he can remember is what was going on right before the point that he was deprived of the air. And he's given the group the old, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel routine.
Classic.
Yeah. And they explain to him that he was killed and that they brought him back to life or whatever. Now, the corner lady lets Mortis know that the only downfall to this miracle of bringing him back to life is that he's now a zombie and decomposition's going to take effect.
Over the course of, like, what is it, 8 to 12 hours, something like that?
Yeah, it's like super, super short. From what I gathered, it was like 6 to 8 hours because later on in the movie, she starts talking about how, it's a lot shorter than I thought.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think initially they gave him, like, some sort of time frame, like, up to 12 hours, and he would be, like, dead. That's what I meant. But, yeah, he falls up, he gets shitty real fast.
Yeah. And, Bigelow's discussing the situation with his partner. His partner seems down because he doesn't have much time to experience life. And Doug's super upset and says, I'll pull the heart out of the bastard's chest with my bare hands and we'll watch it beat together. I thought that was pretty badass.
That's one of the cooler things.
Yeah, but instead of, going out sightseeing, maybe partying, doing a bunch of cocaine or whatever, they decide that they're going to continue working as policemen and find the assholes that killed Mortis before he decomposes.
Might as well. People back then used to work harder than people today, though.
Yeah, work ethic is going down the drain nowadays, Steve. But they do make sure that before they do this, they go and buy some makeup for Mortis because it looks like he's already losing blood from his, he's going pale, his skin's starting to look nasty.
Does it matter, though? Like, he has a few hours.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting 30 minutes of your time makeup shopping? Just fucking go for it. He's gonna, like, you've got to know that at some point during the next 2 hours, you're gonna be falling apart anyway. So just go for it.
Yeah, and who cares? Like, what are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
Like,
worst case scenario, you get found out that you're dead. That's it.
And that is super worst case scenario. Like most, you run into
nobody's going to be like, dude, are you dead?
Yeah, you're dead. No, they'd be like, oh man, you look sick. You should go home. Why are you working? I don't know, but that was definitely. I think it was just to set up some funny jokes because he puts lipstick on and just looks
like a
ridiculous.
baboon's ass.
Yeah. Now the first place they go is Miss James's house, and this is actually Randy, the lady they had met at the science center. They stop by her house because they want to ask her some questions, and they catch her right before she's leaving. I guess she's gonna flee because she knows there's some shit that's going on she doesn't want to be a part of. I guess Bigelow starts looking through her shit, and he finds a VHS starring Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
But right before they get the opportunity to watch rigor mortis Vincent Price, 2 gangster zombies ambush the house and start shooting up the place with a pair of Uzis.
Start fucking shit up.
Mm-hmm. Now, Randy and the police duo escape through the back door. This is where they fight off the 2 zombies.
They run past the pool, start fighting it up in this ridiculously small, but probably super overpriced backyard. And, the guys at the Uzis definitely have the upper hand until Joe Piscopo and Randy's secret weapon comes out of the pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he throws the dude in the pool, and then does he throw a radio in there and starts electrocuting him?
Well, good old Treat hops out of the pool, and I think that he does throw some sort of machinery in there and shock him up.
Yeah, he does something. Well, they're zombies. Like, is this going to kill them? Like,
I don't know, because Treat was just under the water for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so
it doesn't matter.
I don't know if that was if that would have actually killed the zombie dude.
Although I guess it could be argued that since they were reanimated with electricity, like sending more electricity might stop it, sort of like a defibrillator. Is that how they work?
Sure, yeah.
Like shock your heart working, you can shock it back to stop.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably the answer to that question there. But
we'll give him this one.
Yeah. Well, he electrocutes one of the zombies in there. And while he's doing that, Bigelow's fighting the Akeem Olajuwon looking zombie. He's like 7 fucking... The Dream Hakeem. And he's fighting him off, and I guess he impales him with some sort of pole and throws him into the swimming pool or whatever. So after this, they decide to go back into the house and finish up the VHS. And this, I guess, Vincent Price is Randy's father, and this tape is going over the will. So basically, this is setting up the fact that Vincent Price's character is dead, and he's long gone. And it sets up a nice little payoff here later on in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Randy is arrested for more questioning. Mortis and Duggan take her back to the police station and make sure she doesn't leave their sight. And before they do, Mortis decides to take a shower and changes his bloody clothes because in the midst of this interaction with the two zombies, he gets shot multiple times and he just fucking takes bullets. And he does this throughout the movie. It's fucking hilarious.
You should have just warned him.
Yeah. But he finds out in the bathroom that he's decomposing a lot quicker than he should be. He starts combing his hair and his hair is just fucking coming out. Like he's on chemotherapy or something.
Again, I don't know how much time fucking this beauty queen thinks he has, but he was quoted 12 hours at the most. Like, don't comb your fucking hair. Just get your ass out there. Change your shirt. That's it.
Yeah, you're doing things that if you had the time of day, you wouldn't do.
Right. This is the kind of thing that I theoretically have 60 to 70 more years, and I still am like, man, wish I didn't have to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he's fucking combing his hair. He's like taking a shower, putting on clean clothes.
Yeah.
Just get your ass out there.
I agree. Now, this is one of my favorite scenes we're stepping into, and this is where they go to Chinatown. And I call the Asian character, I always forget his name, so I'm going to call him Fo. But Fo is one of the dirty individuals in this reanimated prescription game, I guess.
Mr. Lee.
Yeah, he has his hands in Mr. Lee. Now, as they walk in there, Bigelow can't stop talking about eating. He's definitely hungry. He's been pumping the iron, needs to get some protein.
Mm-hmm.
But before Mortis and Bigelow can get information from the giant goon that's chopping up the duck, Fo comes out and tries to level the situation. And Piscopo throws out a few threats, saying he's going to whoop some ass if they don't get some answers. And so Mr. Fo here decides to push a button under the table. And I guess he has a poor man's version of this reanimating machine inside his fucking butcher shop.
Yeah, apparently everybody owns a copy of this fucking machine.
Yeah.
So he flicks the switch and let's just reanimate these super old rotten corpses of animals.
Yeah, so with it being a butcher shop, all these headless ducks and other animals. I don't know if this is a zombie thing, but any movie you've ever watched where something's reanimated, they come back evil and they just want to attack.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and the first thing's Pet Sematary, because that comes to mind, because in Pet Sematary, they're not zombies. They don't want to eat you. They just want to come back to life and kill you, which is kind of weird. And it's like the same thing in this. They're not zombies per se, but they're reanimated assholes and definitely want to beat the shit out of you.
Maybe they're just upset because they were at peace.
Yeah.
And they were like woken up.
Yeah. But all of a sudden, a pig starts attacking Bigelow and is like trying to eat his face or whatever, bite him. And he's just throwing these one-liners around that are pretty fucking funny. And he ends up shooting the pig in the mouth. And Mortis is having some problems as well. I don't know what was attacking Mortis. Do you? It just looked like a big fucking red blob.
Yeah, it was just I don't know what the hell that was either. All the meat in this place looked rotten as shit. I couldn't even tell what it was.
I know. It looked like a liver or something. I'm not sure what was attacking him, but he finally gets it off. And all of a sudden, there's this huge, like, skinned, I don't know, it's probably a cow.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But
it's got, like, the center, like, straight down the rib area, like, cut, and all the shit pulled out of him.
It starts walking towards, and Bigelow has a pretty funny quote. I got it right here.
How do you fight this thing? Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Oh, Piscopo.
Yeah, he's fucking ridiculous, man. But they just end up... It starts attacking him, and they end up fucking fighting it off. And I don't know how they kill it, but I guess when these things reach their decomposition stage, rather than decomposing over time like a normal dead body would, they just like start disintegrating. Did you notice that? Like it
yeah.
like melts, and you see that happen with Randy later on. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Well, yeah, he does sort of like. Are you talking about like looking like they're sweaty, or are you talking about just some sort of like cheese on the old hot grill?
Well, what happens is like when these things die, they just disintegrate. Like they decompose a lot faster than a normal body would. Like they just disintegrate within a few seconds, and you see that with Randy in the scene we're going to be coming up to. Like like a body wouldn't decompose like that. It would take time.
True.
Yeah, so it's really weird. Like they just disintegrate, and that's what happens.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You know, I've been playing a lot of like Resident Evil recently, so I haven't paid any mind to when this happened because it happens in the game. You know, once they're finally dead and like gone, they're just. So
yeah.
now I'm on the same page.
Okay, gotcha. So they kill off that big giant cow or whatever the hell it is, and in the process of fighting off the fat goon and the reanimated animals, Mortis gets his finger cut off by a butcher knife from that fat goon, and before the fat goon can shoot or attack or stab or attack Mortis some more, Piscopo shoots him in the gut. And I found a little funny a mess up here in this movie. Like he gets his finger cut off and Mortis starts bandaging it up, and you notice, you can see the fake wound, but you can see his finger still. Like
he's doing the old bend the finger down trick.
Yeah, that's what he was doing, and you could definitely see it, and they didn't cut it out, which was pretty funny. But it's funny because Randy asks Mortis, "Are you okay? You look hurt." And Mortis just says, "Lady, I'm fucking dead."
You don't happen to have another Joe Piscopo quote from when they're fighting all those animals, do you?
Unfortunately, I do not, but I do have a handful of Piscopo quotes that we'll definitely throw in here.
Good. In the trailer, the reason I bring it up is because in the trailer, it kind of ruins this one-liner when he's like, "I'm going to be a vegetarian. That's it, I'm going to be a vegetarian," or something. And in the commercial, you're like, that's so lame.
Yeah.
But actually, this is one of the few one-liners that's not as lame as it looks in the commercial.
Yeah, because he's fighting off that hog. That
exactly.
reanimated hog.
But in the commercial, you're just like, what? Are you talking about humans? Like, that's lame.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, but...
I just wanted to give Joe Piscopo some credit, because a lot of his one-liners were kind of shitty.
Yeah. He has a lot.
Okay.
He has a lot, but there's one particular one-liner in here that we'll go over that I was laughing so fucking hard, and I was watching this movie by myself, so that's when you know something's good, is when you start...
Or that you're insane.
Yeah, and that could definitely be... But after they kill off all these reanimated animals, they start snooping around this place to see if they can find some more information. And they find a piece of paper with names and dates. And these names and dates, they turn out to be dead people, or wealthy dead people. And so they start getting a hunch that this information needs to be looked into. So what they do is they head to the public library to check out the obituaries. And Piscopo's one-liners continue to come in here. One, he says, "It's amazing how many people died in 3 months. People I've never even heard of." And then he has a funny little one-liner where they're looking through the newspapers in this library. And he immediately goes to the sports section and decides that this is what's important.
Oh, God.
What is it? And the Lakers won yesterday, but they didn't make the point spread. They had $10 riding on that game.
$10.
$10. It definitely tells you how much cops are underpaid. But, this, I almost immediately stopped liking Piscopo at this point because he likes the Lakers.
But in all fairness, wasn't this the Magic era?
Yeah, this was the era when they were fucking badass. And when the Lakers are really good, especially with Magic Johnson, that team they had, and you're only betting $10, you're a fucking scumbag.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why, I don't know, the point spread thing, he was just like, oh, they're going to blow them out. Those Showtime Lakers, nothing to mess with.
Yeah. What they find out when they're researching all these obituaries is that the people that had died were super, super wealthy people. So they're at the point where they don't understand what's going on, per se. Mm-hmm. So they're going to look into it more. Now, this was a funny scene because Mortis starts realizing that he's deteriorating because, he's looking at these obituaries and he's realizing that he's dead. And he's like, oh, fuck, this sucks. And all of a sudden, this sad music just starts playing. And he starts doing the slow run. So just imagine, like, this playing. And then, like, all of a sudden, some dude just starts slowly, like, pacing. And then jogging. And then starts running. It was fucking ridiculous. And the whole time, Bigelow's, like, chasing him through this library, trying to get him.
And the best part during this running scene, that's funny.
Yeah.
But I feel like the best part during this running scene is as fucking as a cheat treat is being chased out of there. Piscopo is whisper yelling at him because they're in a fucking library.
Oh yeah,
he's like, hey, like that instead of being like, hey.
Yeah, and
that part's made me laugh.
It was pretty funny, and I would say a man of Piscopo status in this movie would be that asshole that screamed in the library. Because I believe he did mention as they were walking up the steps into the library, he said, oh, so this is library. Never been in one of these before. He's just talking about, I mean, just letting the audience know how fucking stupid he is.
Yeah, that's a feat that you really can't even accomplish in this day and age because they have libraries and grade schools and they make you go in there.
Oh, yeah.
But, I feel like at this point he's definitely trying to prove that he is a cool guy.
Exactly.
And it's working.
And so he finally catches up to Mortis, and he's trying to make him feel better about the situation, which I would say is a hard task. The dude's dead, but he says one thing that looks to turn Mortis's attitude completely around. He says, "You can't be a good cop if you're a dead cop." And he starts throwing this philosophy over at Mortis as to, well, you can prove him wrong, and you can be a good dead cop, and blah, blah, blah. And it boosts his spirits, and he decides that they got to go back to the coroner's office, figure out what's going on, and find these bad guys.
That's the way I used to motivate my little brother to do things with me. You'd have to make him want to do it. Like, well, yeah, it's 4 stairs you're trying to ollie over, but you'd be the only kid in the first grade that could do it.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, and then you just get Rex as shit. But,
can you imagine all the ass you would get if you ollied these 4 stairs, Cody?
Yep.
So after this, they go back to the coroner's office, and I guess Mortis needs to get another physical to see where he's at as far as decomposition's concerned. Now, Mortis gives a long spiel about the pop. We'll save that for a moment and talk a bit more about while he's getting his checkup here, and because the special effects are kind of cool. He sits down, and the coroner lady takes his shirt off, and he has all these bullet holes and everything, and he's just completely rotting. And this is where she tells him that the stage of decomposition is far ahead of what she had expected, and that he only has 4 hours left from this point.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah, so he's about done. Now, because of that, Mortis, he says, we got to get out of here. I don't have time for this, blah, blah, blah. So he gathers up Doug, and they bounce out of that joint. They get back in the car, and they're driving. Mortis starts talking about the population and how heavily populated the planet is. And he brings up this point that the population of the world is so big that half the people that have ever lived are still alive today.
It's kind of mind-blowing if true.
Yeah, I think he's on to something, but Piscopo has another one-liner here that this is the one that just made me laugh so fucking hard, because right after he says it just cuts to a different scene. He literally says, the population of the world is so big that half the people that ever lived in it are still alive today, and Piscopo interrupts with this funny little liner.
Not only that, if you multiply the population of Rhode Island by the square root of my ex-wife's weight...
And then it just cuts. The scene cuts and goes to a different scene, like they were filming it, and he was just improvising, and like, Jesus, you are not funny. So they just cut to a different scene. It was pretty fucking funny.
Wherever this is going is not going to be as funny as if we just straight up cut it. So let's do that.
Yeah. Oh man. So after that, they're driving around. Mortis is just falling apart a lot quicker than expected. With his 4 hours left, they decide to head to the cemetery to check out Randy's dead father. The reason they do that is because they want to find some more information as to what's going on. And I can't remember exactly what they're trying to get off Vincent Price's character here, but they still go to the cemetery anyways. Do you remember, Steve?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but anyways, they find some luck because when they get there, Mortis is snooping around through the tomb. Is that what they're called? Like those indoor, like...
It's a mausoleum, I think.
Okay, mausoleum, something like that. But he's snooping around. There's a bunch of weird items, like a phone, there's a lamp. And he turns the lamp on. Inside the lamp, there is a string of numbers. It looks like it's drawn in red marker or blood. And so he takes out his little detective book and writes the number down.
And the system works.
Now, he only visited the cemetery with Randy. Piscopo went on his way to go do something else, probably to go bet $5 extra in the Lakers game. But they head back to Randy's house, and they actually find Doug dead. Now he's tied and hung upside down, and they've dipped him in a fish tank to drown. But that was very unexpected. I didn't expect Doug.
It was an elaborate ruse.
Yeah. But they pull him out, and it doesn't look like Mortis is too upset about it. You think he'd cry. I definitely feel that when Piscopo found out that Mortis was dead, he was way upset. And it was...
Yeah, the scene... Why don't you go ahead and finish, and then I'll just...
All right. So Randy tells Mortis that she was also reanimated and that they were going to keep her alive essentially forever, like a normal lifespan, as long as she helped them out. Now, what happens is after she's taken a shower, she starts decomposing rapidly. So these individuals that are running this reanimation game find out that she's doing them wrong, so I don't know how they do it, but they immediately stop helping her out, and she starts decomposing, and the special effects are fucking awesome.
They cut the flow of the crack to the crack whore.
Yeah. And her face just starts melting, like completely off, and
yeah, this was pretty good effect.
Yeah, but she just disintegrates and completely melts away, and it seems that Mortis is completely disgusted and runs out of the room because he doesn't want to see it any longer. But Mortis calls the coroner chick to tell her that Doug and Randy are dead, and he leaves a voicemail because she didn't answer. He then notices the number that was left on that lampshade could be a number code, and he gets this hint because he's looking at the dial pad of the phone and sees that each number has letter characters. And so
3 characters assigned to it.
Yeah, so he pulls out his pad and he starts deciphering the code, and truth be told, that it spells out body doc.
Spoil that for everyone one more time.
All right. So body doc is the code. Now, what you find out throughout the film, a lot earlier in the film that we didn't bring up, is that Dr. McNabb, he's one of the coroner chief dudes or whatever. He has a sweet-ass Mercedes. Or was it Mercedes-Benz or BMW? I'm not sure. But
some classy gentleman car.
Yeah, but his license plate says body doc. It should say ass man.
Oh, I was thinking that, like the Seinfeld bit with the ass man.
Yeah, that'd be fucking funny. But anyways, this is where Mortis knows exactly what's going on and that he needs to go pay Dr. McNabb a visit. So Mortis heads to the coroner's office to kill McNabb, and as he pulls up, you can definitely see that he's decomposed a lot more. His face is starting to like rot and everything like that.
One thing before you get too far,
sure,
that I was going to bring up is, when Piscopo dies, it's made so little about the whole thing that like when I watched it, I thought, wait, who is dead?
Yeah,
and then I noticed Piscopo was in there, and I was like, oh, that was Piscopo? They don't pay, like, nobody cares that he's dead.
Nobody cares, like, yeah. Nobody cares, and it doesn't even look like him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like him. You just think it's just some guy. And then you're like, wait, where's Piscopo? And then finally you're like, oh, that was Piscopo. They should have made that feel a little more dramatic.
I agree. They didn't do a very good job at that. However, I think it can play into the fact that this film, when it was finished, they were going to give this an X rating. I guess the special effects, and it was super gory, so they had to cut out a ton of scenes to make sure that they could get this in theaters and things like that. So I think that may have had a part of it.
Is there an uncut version available? Do you know?
I have no clue. I haven't researched it.
Can you imagine that movie?
Dude, I'm hoping it's up to the standard of My Bloody Valentine, because that'd be great.
Yeah, because this movie is already pretty amusing, but
yeah,
even more, it'd be pretty sweet.
I agree. It'd be pretty cool. I'll have to look into that more. I did notice that they have a sweet vinyl of the soundtrack that I'm going to fucking buy.
Oh, God. You need to frame that in a gold frame.
I know. I found one of them on eBay. I think I'm going to pick it up.
Hang it above your fireplace.
Yeah.
In a place where most people would put pictures of their children's weddings.
Just fucking have a separate room in my house with nothing but a weight bench. And just hang it above the weight bench. And just think Episcopo as I do reps.
Oh, yeah. Joe Piscopo's jockstrap.
So, getting back to this, like we said, Mortis heads back to pay a visit to McNabb. And right before he gets the opportunity to kill McNabb, a bunch of McNabb's zombie goons ambush Mortis. McNabb basically spills the beans saying, yeah, it was me, blah, 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 pulling the whole, we're going to get rid of you and make sure you can't soil our plans or whatever.
He does the James Bond villain, which is he shits out all the information he has in his head about his plan.
Yep.
Because he can't do anything but shit it out of his mouth.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, Steve, but one of the zombie goons, the tall one with the stringy-ass gross hair, looks like the axe dude from Last Action Hero. And I didn't do my research.
Oh, yeah.
However,
Jack the Ripper.
I think it is that same actor. He has that fucked up weird face, like that scar-ridden acne face.
That also has like a... Yeah, he looks like he just barely escaped retardation as it is, and then he got smacked in the face by like a bus.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about, but I didn't look into that. I actually didn't notice that, which I'm amazed because I only notice useless things. So
yeah, so I'm going to look into that more because I think it's the same dude. But Foe, the Asian dude, the owner of the butcher shop, and McNabb are teaming together. And what they do, which was kind of odd, is decide to put Mortis in a soundproof van outside of the coroner's office to rot, because he apparently only has a few more hours before he disintegrates. And Mortis, has some bad news as he enters this van. He finds that Becca, the coroner lady that he kind of had a crush on, is dead in that van as well. So they lock him in there to rot, and Mortis kicks the van into neutral and starts coasting down the streets of L.A. Now, if he can't get out of there because he's handcuffed, he's just going to cruise down one of these steep streets and hope for the best.
Fuck his way out of there.
Yeah, so the van is just going at high speeds, and it runs a red light, and it just hits another car and fucking explodes. And it then jumps to a shot of the aftermath, and there's ambulances, and paramedics are putting the dead bodies in the body bags. And once again, we run into a non-emotional Mortis. He could care less about Becca as she's being put in a body bag and hauled off. So he definitely does not... I think he's like a sociopath secretly. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody in this movie but himself.
Yeah, well, that may explain why he bought lipstick.
Could, but this is a pretty cool scene because Mortis was put into a zip bag as well, a body bag, and he starts unzipping it from the inside,
which you can't do.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but he does, and he starts pulling himself out of this bag, and he stands up, and he's just completely... Not only is he decomposing, but he's just fucked up from this accident.
Which looks great.
Yeah, and these paramedics are like freaking out, like, holy shit, dude, you don't look too good. And an officer immediately just comes up, like some random motorcycle cop just comes up to him and decides to point a gun at him. Which, I mean, would you point a gun at a guy that looked like that, Steve?
No, he looks like your slow-cooked roast, like after 13 hours of slow cooking.
Exactly.
You could back up and he'd just come apart, slide right off the bone.
Exactly. And that brings up the...
He is a cop, and he's learning impaired. He's the retarded policeman.
That's me.
Yeah, definitely a fucking retard. But Bigelow, or not Bigelow, but Mortis decides to walk up and show his badge, and the cop says, "Oh, you're a detective?" And he says, "Yep, give me your gun." So he takes the gun from that police officer, steals his bike, and decides that he's going to head to Dante's Center of Science. Now, Loudermilk, which is Randy's dad and Vincent Price, we find out here is alive and well. I guess he was never buried when he was dead. He was actually reanimated, and they took one of those rich cadavers and buried him in his place. Now, Vincent Price and Dr. McNabb have gathered the richest people in L.A. to come visit, so Loudermilk, or Vincent Price, can try to sell these rich people on the reanimation process. Basically, his goal is to get all these rich people to pay him half their fortune so he can reanimate them to live forever, because I guess they have a way to not only reanimate the dead, but to keep them alive forever without decomposing.
It's a pretty slick operation, and he has a pretty convincing pitch.
He does, and these people don't believe him. Now, he obviously died, and he's reanimated. But not only do they not believe him, but they, refuse to do it. Like, they want to die. But I think it's funny because Vincent Price goes through this whole story about how God hates poor people and how God wants rich people to live forever. It was pretty funny.
It was a movie clearly written by Mitt Romney.
It is. Now, what they're going to do to prove these old hags that the reanimation process works is that they're going to reanimate a body that they have selected. And it doesn't show who this body is, but goddamn, we find out, don't we, Steve?
Oh, yeah. Should I say?
You know, you may want to give us a little spoiler, Steve.
Okay. Well, seeing as this would probably be about our second spoiler of the episode, we better just spoil it up twice. Is nice.
Yes, indeed.
It's Joe
Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo.
Okay, so before they do,
it was classier in my head.
It was still pretty good. I'm enjoying that. So Mortis breaks in Dante's and starts shooting the shit out of zombie goons. Before he gets into this reanimation room, he has this shoot off with one of these zombie guys, and it is way too fucking long. Like, he's literally pumping these they're pumping bullets into each other for like a good 20 seconds.
But the movie is only an hour and like 26 minutes with credits and everything, so
yeah,
they're just trying to give you your money's worth.
They are, and it's funny because he shoots a zombie dude so many times that he backs him up into that chamber. And what happens is he then pulls a grenade and he throws it in there and blows the goon up. Now, he then walks into the reanimation room, and he starts shooting the random rich people. It doesn't matter who's getting in his way. He's just shooting the shit out of them. He unloads a few into foe, so he kills the Asian left hand.
Miyagi.
Yes, Mr. Miyagi. And it's now McNabb's turn. So as Steve had mentioned earlier with the spoiler alert, Doug was the reanimated test and is completely brain dead. And apparently with him being brain dead, he can follow the orders of McNabb, and McNabb orders Doug to move forward and kill Mortis. So Bigelow starts walking towards Mortis and grabs him by the neck and lifts him off his feet.
Because he is a fucking beefcake.
He is huge as shit. And so this is where Mortis starts telling Doug a bunch of old stories and memories and things to kind of help refresh his brain-dead memory.
An old treat, just trying to bring back his pal Piscopo.
Yeah, and Piscopo immediately comes back to the realization that McNabb is actually, his buddy. And so
it took maybe 10 seconds of trying to remind him, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
Roger." And then turns around and they turn around, they face McNabb, and what they're going to do is fuck McNabb up. Now, this was unexpected and kind of funny. They start heading towards McNabb to kill him, and McNabb just decides to put a bullet in his own head. He commits suicide.
What a fucking pussy.
Yeah, just a complete piece of shit. And so what they decide to do is reanimate him.
Oh yeah, this was classy.
Yeah. So they reanimate the dude, and instead of pulling him out of the reanimation after he's back to life, they decide to just beef up the reanimation machine again and reanimate him again to see what happens. And they beef it up, and he just fucking explodes. Like into a billion pieces, blood and guts go everywhere.
What do you think he was like conscious during this, so they at least felt like they got their revenge? Or
Yeah, he was conscious. They reanimate him, and he wakes up, and he like starts looking around and talking to him, and they they decide to reanimate him. After
is that how you would have killed him, or would you have done something special?
Dude, I would have just like fucked around with him. I would have like shot him in the kneecaps and then like punched him in the face and like snapped his neck.
Pull his like pants and underwear all the way down and like have him so his arms are strapped up to like a chain, so he has to be standing and like his legs are separated. And then from like miles away, you have like a sniper rifle, and you purposely shoot it at his balls that are hanging down, but just so it grazes them, not so it like blows them up. So like it grazes them, so they like get hit hard and start swinging.
Yeah, I would have done.
That'd be in there.
I would have done fucked up shit. Like I would have like I don't know why they didn't do this, but I would have like killed him and then reanimated him and like had my ass in his face, so when he woke up out of death.
You just shit all over him because you've been eating laxatives and fucking spicy Chinese food.
Yeah, or like cut his dick off and like put it on his face or something. So when he's reanimated, his penis is on his face. I don't know. So I would have just done terrible things, and I'm sure
sodomize him with a knife.
I'm sure a lot of things could have been done. It would have been pretty funny. But they kill him and they leave the machine on. And Vincent Price's character, Laddermilk, offers them eternal life, and if they spare the machine, that he'll make them rich and make sure that he'll keep them alive and let them live forever. But they choose to just rot and become zombies, so they leave the machine on, and it explodes, and that's the end. They start walking. They start walking out of the good old reanimation room, and Doug starts talking about reincarnation. And from what I recall, he has a very classy little clip here I want to play as to what he wants to be when he's reincarnated.
Hey, Rod, you think we'll be reincarnated? As what? I don't know. Maybe you get a choice. You can be whatever you want.
Oh, you mean like a statesman or a president or a prize-winning novelist?
Personally, I'd like to come back as the seat on a girl's bike.
Now that is truly inspiring.
That girl's bike.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, that's the end of it. And they just walk into the smoke, and it's over.
Fucking Piscopo.
I know. So, I guess they just move on with the rest of their lives. They probably have a few hours to live.
Yeah, maybe.
Piscopo just holds Roger Mortis in his arms as he dies.
And then as he crumbles himself, like it's like the longest like slow death because it's like 10 hours long.
Yeah. So typically we have a little thing here that we like to discuss.
We like to play a game called Cocks and Quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Penis butt.
No, it's
the pickle and the hair sandwich.
A little penis.
This is the time when Trevor, theoretical audience, you will like this movie if you like zombie duck heads, exposition followed by face melting, figuring out codes based on the common telephone, worst one-liners imaginable, old decrepit Vincent Price, gun violence that is non-consequential, and finally, if you like saying Joe Piscopo and Treat Williams during a film as much as I do. Because I was saying that nonstop. I would say Treat Williams and it'd kill me while I was watching.
Well, it was pretty good little you'll like this film tips. I like this film. It's pretty damn good.
It was.
I'd like to talk about the killer a bit, or the antagonist, but I believe the antagonists of this film, Dr. McNabb and Loudermilk and Foe, were kind of boring.
Yeah, they were pussies.
So I'd like to talk maybe just about like the reanimated scum they used to try to stop Mortis and Bigelow. Like, what did you think? Like, did you like The zombies, were they... What's your take on this?
Well, the zombies were definitely your standard zombies, but they were pretty smart. Like, they didn't miss any of the marks, although they weren't really hungry for brains.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's because of the way they were like reanimated.
Yeah.
They definitely were super violent, like on Reanimator, where they like have this like extreme
aggression.
anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, like aggressive, and so they did the trick. They were pretty cool. Definitely the best zombies in the movie were Treat and Joe.
Yeah.
The main guy was definitely a pussy. I feel like the main bad guy, but I feel like he did what a main bad guy would do. That, you know, he did himself off before they could kill him, just like a bad guy in real life would do if he had done the same thing. Like, I feel like that was pretty accurate. He would be like some dickless fuck.
Yeah, he was a pussy. They all were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
What did you think of the zombies?
I thought they were really cool. Like, I love the multiple shootouts between Mortis and these zombies, how they would just literally spend 10-15 seconds just unloading clips into each other. And the makeup was really cool as well. Like, the special effects were awesome. Like, they looked decomposing. And I'll give Steve Johnson his credit where it's due. He did a really great job. And I found out that he actually did special effects for Night of the Demons 2 in that fucking shitty movie Species.
Hey, it was all about Species 2, baby.
Yeah, but this is one of his better special effects movies. I thought he did a great job, but my favorite bad guys, I would have to say, would be the reanimated animals. That was fucking funny. It was hilarious, and they looked really grotesque and disgusting looking.
It was super Sam Raimi like.
Yeah, and that skinned headless cow that attacked Mortis was just awesome. It was way funny.
With its huge axe wound going all the way down its chestal cavity.
Yeah. But that was the bad guy. But overall, enjoyed it. Let's get to the score now and what we would rate this. Steve, I'm gonna let you go first.
Score. It had a classy theme music. I didn't really remember too much of the other music, although I feel like I didn't remember it because it was like movie appropriate. Like at the end of the movie, it's playing music at the beginning. I didn't feel like the score was out of place. So I guess if you don't notice the score, it doesn't mean that it's the best, but it also doesn't mean it's the worst. So I would say an average score on a B movie like this is doing pretty good. So I would say the score is pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as the rating, and the way the rating works is out of 5 dumpsters, 1 dumpster being the best because you have to have at least 1 dumpster in a B movie, and 5 dumpsters being a dumpster fire. I actually hadn't considered what my dumpster number would be, so I'm gonna just do it on the spot.
Gotcha.
Honestly, it was an easy watch. It was pretty amusing.
Time.
I would probably
the time factor. The time factor was key. Like, this movie was not. It was not longer than it needed to be.
Right. If anything, I could have gone for some more over the top ridiculousness, but
yeah,
I would say I'd give it a 2.5, only because I only wouldn't give it more, just because it didn't quite have as much horror as I would like.
Yeah.
But and I mean, you can't really fault Piscopo for not being Gary Busey, but that does factor into my rating.
Yeah. Well, I'll jump into mine. First off, the score. I liked it. Actually went and listened to the score afterwards. It has its mix of cheesy 80s synth, such as the main track. Really did hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it also has its mix of just like that eerie, ominous horror tone, and it's just well-rounded. It doesn't jump out at you. It's not really something you look at the film afterwards and say, oh, the score just played such a great role in the overall film. It was mediocre. It was pretty good. I'm gonna buy the soundtrack, so I guess it was decent. But
the picture is probably the best part of the soundtrack, though. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. But I would say, as far as my rating is, I'm between a 1.5 and a 2. So the reason I give it that is because this is probably the best buddy cop movie I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't think of anything better. The gore or the special effects were really cool, but I feel like the movie was lacking a bit, like you mentioned, simply due to the fact that like things just didn't add up. But the reason I gave it the rating I did is because I read that they had to cut a lot of stuff out, and it kind of ruined the film from what I had read. But they had to get the rating that they did so they could play it in theaters and things like that.
And another thing I think it suffered from is it only had one instance where the black police chief yelled at him. They could use another one for it being a buddy cop.
Yeah, like at the end of the movie, like they just destroy this fucking science center, and they're just being screamed at by the lieutenant, and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like that would have been
exactly.
great.
Yeah, like they're walking out, and he's like, a bike seat, and then like in the background it fades out, and like at the same time as showing them, it's like, you know, the crossfade thing where it shows two pictures at once.
Yeah, like the split screen.
Yeah, the split screen would be even better. It shows the cop. It shows the police chief, and he's like adding up all the damage, and he's just like, I don't know I don't remember their names, but he's just like, Slater. Like, say their name is Slater. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as they're like laughing about the bike seat and the cheesy music plays and ends, that would raise it like probably a whole point. A whole dumpster.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's pretty good though. I'd recommend it. It's a funny movie. I'll probably watch it again. It's worth buying. I think I picked. Yeah, I think I picked it up for like $5. So yeah, that's it. That's the review. Dead Heat. Anything you wanted to add, Steve?
Go look up pictures of Treat Williams, and especially Joe Piscopo.
Yeah, and we'll do our due diligence to make sure that we get a few of those bad boy pics of Piscopo as well posted, so you guys can get a peek at his muscles and greased up bod.
Oof.
But yeah, that's it. Be expecting another one here in 2 weeks. I don't know if we have anything in store or in mind yet, but we definitely will surprise you. You can always hit us up on social media at B-Movie Trash Talk. You can hit me up at Trevor Turpin. Hit Steve up at Steve Normand.
That's
you
right.
Also get us on Facebook. And we have Stitcher now, right, Steve?
You know it.
Yeah, so I've fallen in love myself with Stitcher. It's awesome. Add us on Stitcher. Listen to it on iTunes and rate it. Give us 5 stars or give us 1 star.
No. Even if you think it's shit, give us 5 stars and just write bad stuff in the ratings.
Yeah,
we demand a goddamn 5-star.
5 stars at least, and you can call us whatever the fuck you want in the rating. But other than that, that's this episode, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, cutie.
See ya.